you came from. Go back to where you came from. Back to where you came from. Maybe I will. Passport Junkie Family, what's up? I know we're hurting, we're grieving, we're mad, but guess what? We're also looking for solutions. And that's what I love about where we are right now. We're so mad and we're so frustrated that I'm seeing so many of my friends working towards actual solutions to make it better and to have our voices and our cries heard about police brutality and the systematic decimation of African American men. I've seen a lot of conversation around protesting, boycotting, creating our own economic ecosystems. But I'd like to start a healthy conversation around Pan-Africanism and the creation of an African descendant nation state. We're begging for humanity to be seen as human in 2016, but are we really surprised when the country was founded on us being 3/5 human? At some point you have to ask yourself, can you ever optimally function in a society whose very foundation was built on you not being able to optimally function? Yeah, I know. Going back to Africa seems real extreme, right? But think about why you feel that way. History has shown us a few ways in which the oppressor and oppressed relationship is toppled. War, i.e., the Civil War, significant civil unrest and bloodshed, which is to me the civil rights era and even starting to have some of that bloodshed today. And 3, mass exodus and creation of a nation state for the oppressed people, i.e. Israel for the Jews and Native Americans and reservations. One of the things I learned in Israel, or behind the creation of Israel, was so that after World War II, Jews would have a place that they could call their own, that they could go if they were ever persecuted again. Perhaps the potential solution is for us to have our own nation state. I mean, just think for one moment, if all of us here in the U.S. took all of the intellectual information that we have now, all of the economic power and money that we have now, picked it all up, left America, and placed it all in Africa. Imagine how powerful that continent could be. Imagine for 1 second that you're part of the majority. Just imagine that for 1 second. That can happen in Africa. That feeling of being a part of the majority and not being the minority is so liberating. You feel like you belong. You don't feel inferior. Like, why people here don't understand privilege is beyond me. Being in the majority alone gives you privilege, gives you power. Now, when I bring this up with people, they always say it's such an extreme thing, and no, I would never go back to Africa, and why should we leave here when we built here? But again, I ask you, even though we built it on our backs, can we ever be seen as equal here? The media will have you to believe all kind of misconceptions about Africa, and therefore any idea of going back is met with a visceral reaction of absolutely not. But I challenge you to wonder why you have these preconceived notions and visceral reactions to going back to Africa. One of the main things I hear, why would we want to go back to Africa? It's underdeveloped. It can't support us. All kind of reasons about the actual physical landscape and economic potential. Do we not realize that Africa is the richest natural resource on earth? And I don't know about y'all, but my African classmates tend to be pretty well off. So therefore, I have to wonder, it must be some kind of economic potential in Africa. Another thing I hear, Africans don't like African Americans. They would never accept us. While this may be true, you have to wonder why they have negative connotations and perceptions. I wonder who fed them those negative things about African Americans. Moreover, it's never been my experience that Africans were not welcoming to me as an African American whenever I traveled to Africa. When I went to South Africa, they wanted to know all about my experience. They wanted to bring me in and show me their culture. My Nigerian classmate, happy to host me at his wedding. All of his friends, happy to host me and my other African American classmates for the wedding. So again, challenge these preconceived notions that you already have and figure out where they come from. I definitely realize Pan Africanism may not be the solution. If anything, this is my, huge push for you to find a way to travel to Africa. My experiences in Africa have been eye-opening, positive, and reinforcing of the beauty and the capability and the strength of my people. Passport Junkie Family, I want to hear your thoughts from your travels, experiences you've had in Africa, experiences that would otherwise, lead you to have a different perspective on potential solutions and how we can make this better. Thanks for watching and looking forward to your comments.